Hello there. So here's 10 facts about Star Wars Return of the Jedi. Fact number 1. The original title of Star Wars Return of the Jedi was going to be Revenge of the Jedi. Now this was the original working title. It was going to be Revenge of the Jedi, but George Lucas decided to change that title to fit more with the Jedi's sort of moral code. So that was changed to Return of the Jedi, because Jedis don't really seek out revenge. So it didn't really fit with the character, the moral compass of an actual Jedi, of Luke Skywalker. So therefore it was changed to Return of the Jedi. And subsequently, revenge was then used in Revenge of the Sith for episode 3. Fact number 2, Luke Skywalker was originally going to stay blue, not green. So in Return of the Jedi, Luke Skywalker has a brand new lightsaber that he's constructed. You don't actually see him build it, but it is there. It's the first lightsaber he pulls out from R2, and it's green. And it looks eerily similar to Obi-Wan's lightsaber design. But it's green, and it was originally meant to be blue. But the reason it wasn't remaining blue, the reason it changed to green, was during early test footage, which you can actually see in like TV spots and early trailers and things, the lightsaber was blue. But during scenes like, for example, on Jabba's barge in Tatooine, the blue lightsaber effects were blending in with the bright blue skies of Tatooine. So George Lucas asked that George Lucas asked that the colour of the lightsaber was changed to green, when originally lightsabers would either be blue for the good guys or red for the bad guys. And that's where we got our first additional lightsaber colour, and the rest is history. Now we've got a whole rainbow of colours. Fact number 3, Wicket, the Ewok, was originally going to be played by Kenny Baker. So Kenny Baker, who played R2-D2 in Star Wars, was originally supposed to be playing Wicket, the Ewok, as well. Unfortunately, he contracted food poisoning. He got food poisoning, he got seriously ill, and they needed someone to step in. There was, I think it was a radio open call for castings, and an 11-year-old British boy, who we all know and love today, Warwick Davies, managed to give a performance and blew us all away. And the rest is history. Fact number 4, Han Solo was supposed to die between the events of Empire Strikes Back and Return of Jedi, and it would have been an off-screen death, and it would have been just something that we would have had to accept, which would have been a travesty, would have been disgraceful. So apparently when George Lucas was signing on the contracts for all of the actors to return to the movies, managed to get Carrie, managed to get Mark, managed to get the rest of the cast, but apparently Harrison Ford had declined the project and didn't want to return as Han Solo. Now the seeds were planted for this a long time ago, even through Empire, which is why they intended to create the arc where he was getting frozen in carbonite. So they had a backup plan. What was intended to happen was he was going to be frozen in carbonite and then delivered to Jabba or what have you, and then we'd never see him again. He'd be dead. He'd be dealt with. Eventually Harrison Ford agreed to join the project again, but he wanted Han to still die. He wanted it to be the end. He wanted to die in like a heroic act or a final stand. But George Lucas wanted more of a happy ending and more of a joyful end of the trilogy, and that's what we got. Fact number 5, Blue Harvest. You might have heard that name, particularly if you've watched the Family Guy parody of Star Wars, which is hilarious and fantastic. But the reason for that name is because when a lot of times movie sets, movie productions, they use a working title or a fake name to sort of hide themselves, hide from the press and things like that. And so Blue Harvest was the fake movie name for Return of the Jedi, in which they used to conceal the sets, the trucks, the cast and crew and everything like that. So everything, caps, t-shirts, trucks, everything had Blue Harvest logos instead of Star Wars Return of the Jedi. And that's where Blue Harvest comes from. Fact number 6. So the Endor speed bike chase was filmed in a very intelligent and really creative way. So the way we got that high quality chase was sort of 2 parts. First of all, they wanted to capture the background, so they had what's called a Steadicam, and they walked through the forest and they captured like frame by frame really slow footage of where the forest is going to be, and then they sort of sped that up, so they took it at a very slow frame rate, and then that got sped up. Then the speed bikes were filmed against plates with that footage on, and so it sort of created that high quality speed action chase. Really creative way of doing it. The practical effects that often come from limitations of technology are always what amaze me, and they always turn out much greater and they stand the test of time a lot more than CGI would. So great fact. Fact number 7, so John Lithgow played Yoda. Well, sort of. So in the radio adaptations of Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi, Frank Oz didn't want to voice Yoda in this radio show, so instead they had John Lithgow perform the voices. Who would have thought it? So John Lithgow technically is Yoda. Fact number 8, it apparently took 7 puppeteers to create and move Jabba the Hutt around. So when you see Jabba moving, talking, apparently it took 7 full puppeteers to manage that. 7. That's outrageous. It's unfair. Fact number 9. Apparently the movie was supposed to end on a much, much more dark tone. So apparently the original idea for the ending of Return of the Jedi, or rather one of the various endings, because we've had multiple different things that were technically going to happen, like Han Solo dying, and lots of things were thrown around. But one of the key ideas that they had was that at the end, when Vader sacrifices himself and kills the Emperor, spoiler by the way, Luke takes off Vader's mask, and instead of, dragging Vader out or doing anything else, he puts the mask on and he says, "Now I am Vader," and then that's it, continuing the cycle. And he would then complete his circle. So as you saw when he was on Dagobah, he went into the cave and he took off Vader's mask and helmet, and you saw Luke's face in there. It all becomes full circle, and there's no escaping the Skywalker curse. But in the end, they did what they should have done and abandoned that idea and instead went with a much happier note, where Luke takes his redeemed father off the Death Star. And fact number 10, Ian McDiarmid almost didn't play Emperor Palpatine. So, as I mentioned in the Empire Strikes Back fact video, the hologram for the Emperor was actually played by Marjorie and Clive Revel, and there was a chimpanzee eye, and there was all sorts of stuff going on to create that character. But when they actually wanted him in the flesh, they'd actually cast a completely different actor. But apparently they unfortunately passed away before filming. So Ian McDiarmid stepped in and gave a phenomenal performance, and then went on to do 3 prequels. And the rest is history. You will love it. Anyway, hope you enjoyed the video. There's 10 facts. If you know any more, put them in the comments down below. Hope you enjoyed it. Give it a like if you did. And I'll see you on the next one. Bye.